Hello everyone, my topic is bilateral trade agreements. What is bilateral trade agreements? Bilateral trade is the exchange of goods between two nations promoting trade and investment. The two countries will reduce or eliminate tariffs, import quotas, export restraints, and other trade barriers to encourage trade and investment. In the United States, the Office of Bilateral Trade Affairs minimizes trade deficit through negotiating free trade agreements with new countries, supporting and improving existing trade agreements, promoting economic development abroad, and other actions. Bilateral trade agreements are agreements between countries to promote trade and commerce. They eliminate trade barriers such as tariffs, import quotas, and export restraints in order to encourage trade and investment. The main advantage of bilateral trade agreements is an expansion of the market for a country's goods through concerted negotiation between two countries. Bilateral trade agreements can also result in the closing down of smaller companies unable to compete with large multinational corporations. The goals of bilateral trade agreements are to expand access between two countries' markets and increase their economic growth. Standardized business operations in 5 general areas prevent one country from stealing another's innovative products, dumping goods at a small cost, or using unfair subsidies. Bilateral trade agreements standardize regulations, labor standards, and environmental protections. Advantages and disadvantages of bilateral trade. Compared to multilateral trade agreements, bilateral trade agreements are negotiated more easily because only two nations are party to the agreement. Bilateral trade agreements initiate and reap trade benefits faster than multilateral agreements. When negotiations for a multilateral trade agreements are unsuccessful, many nations will negotiate bilateral treaties instead. However, new agreements often result in competing agreements between other countries, eliminating the advantages the free trade agreement confers between the original two nations. Bilateral trade agreements also expand the market for a country's goods. The United States vigorously pursued free trade agreements with a number of countries under the Bush administration during the early 2000s. In addition to creating a market for US goods, the expansion helped spread the mantra of trade liberalization and encouraged open borders for trade. However, bilateral trade agreements can skew a country's market when large multinational corporations, which have significant capital and resources to operate at scale, enter a market dominated by small players. As a result, the latter might need to close shop when they are competed out of existence. Each agreement covers 5 areas. First, it eliminates tariffs and other trade taxes. This gives companies within both countries a price advantage. It works best when each country specializes in different industries. Second, countries agree not to dump products at a cheap cost. Their companies might do that to gain unfair market share. They drop prices below what something would sell for at home or even its cost to produce. They raise prices once they have destroyed competitors. Third, the governments refrain from using unfair subsidies. Many countries subsidize strategic industries such as energy and agriculture. This lowers the cost for those producers. It gives them an unfair advantage when exporting to another nation. Fourth, the agreement standardizes regulations, labor standards, and fewer environmental protections. Fewer regulations act like a subsidy. It gives the country's exporters a competitive advantage over its foreign competitors. Fifth, they agree to not steal the other's innovative products. Here ends my presentation. Thank you.